Alright guys, I'm back again, and I know that it's been a while, but this is going to be a very fun series of videos that I'm about to put up, and it's going to be a 3-part collection video of all of my Commodore stuff, more specifically my Commodore 64 and my Commodore VIC-20 stuff. And I acquired all of this in a very short period of time, I think within a span of like 2 weeks or something like that. And they all come from 2 sources, one of which was from a Craigslist deal, and another one was from a deal that I got from somebody at the Gibraltar Trade Center. For those of you who live in the southeast Michigan area, you should know what the Gibraltar Trade Center is, and more specifically, it was at their garage sale extravaganza event. It's basically just a giant indoor flea market. Usually it's a bust whenever I go there, you know, looking for game stuff, but hey, if you're into old lady crap and some baby stuff, then there you go. That's the flea market to go to. But yeah, usually it's a bust, but I always like to go there just to see if I can get lucky in finding something. And this time I definitely did, and I'm really looking forward to showing you guys. So this is going to be part 1, where I'm going to show off the boxes, the manuals, and some strange, weird stuff that also came with all this. Part 2 will focus mainly on hardware, and part 3 will focus mainly on software. So I hope you guys enjoy this series of videos, and I'm very excited to show you guys all this stuff. So let's move the camera around and show you guys what I gotta show you. So here we go. Okay, so let's start with my one boxed item here, and this is my Commodore 64 box, and I have absolutely no idea what the copyright date is on this thing, but if I had to guess, I would say about like late 1983, early 1984. Yet again, though, I have absolutely no clue, because I am new to the Commodore, and as far as serial numbers and all that kind of stuff, I have no way to judge how old my box is, or the Commodore that would go in this box is. But anyways, so this is the box for the Commodore 64, and this is probably the most common box that there is out there. Pretty much every single one looks exactly the same, except for one thing. Let's see if I can move the camera a little bit so you guys can see that a little better. I know it's kind of blurry because my camera sucks, but here's a neon sticker that says, "A new way to shop, service merchandise, catalog showrooms, a great way to save." So I'm thinking that's for a computer shop that was in the southeast Michigan area back in the day. Yet again, I have no idea. So here's the front of the box. It's just got the Commodore 64 logo on it right there. The personal computer with professional power, new from Commodore, advanced color graphics, professional sound and music, 64K memory plus. Yay, 64Ks of memory. Yay, that's a lot, isn't it? Alright, so here's the technical specifications on the side. I'm not going to go through all that because I'm not very technical as far as what's in certain computers and all that kind of stuff, nor do I really care. So if you guys want to read that, go ahead, but personally, I really don't care. And on the back here, probably the most interesting part of it, besides the front, we have a couple of little tidbits of what the Commodore has to offer. Personal business aid, stuff like accounting, inventory, sales forecasting, all that kind of stuff. Communication, you could actually get a modem for this thing back in the day, which is really crazy to think, but you could go online and use bulletin boards on this thing, which is really neat, you know, considering how old this is. Yet again, a modem for this thing in 2013 would be pointless, but still kind of neat. Education, a lot of these Commodore computers were in schools, you know, with different learning programs and math calculation type things and science programs, all that kind of stuff. You could also teach, you know, basic in schools back in the day, so this is a very good computer for educational purposes. And the part that I really care about, plus entertainment, games, different puzzles that you can customize yourself and all that kind of stuff. And obviously you can program your own games if you are a master at programming in BASIC, which I am slowly learning how to do, because I really do want to learn how to program for this thing. I think it'd be really fun to do. There's the top of the box, whoop-de-doo. And on the side, an expandable computer system. Basically shows you around the computer, the Commodore logo right there, and that is pretty much it for the Commodore 64 box. Okay, next up here we got a box filled with different manuals and books and some pretty interesting little tidbits in here. So start off here with probably the most unusual thing. This is a blue folder, and what's inside are different newsletters and programs that were printed out and notes and all that kind of stuff. because apparently the previous owner of all this stuff was a member of a Commodore 64 users group, so apparently I got all of his stuff, so that's pretty sweet. I mean, a lot of this is pretty much useless to me, but still kind of neat to thumb through all that. And tons and tons and tons of books. I'm probably not going to go through all of them because it would take forever, but I'll show you guys a couple of them. Stuff like Machine Language for Beginners. A lot of these just seem like textbooks, which is good for me because I really want to learn how to program for this thing, and why not use a book, because I got a lot of different reference guides and stuff in here. Let's see, we got another interesting thing in here, like the Commodore 64 User's Guide. It's a very handy book if you don't know how to operate the 64. I got another one for the VIC-20, which is right here. This is the VIC-20 User's Guide. And a bunch of other basic programming textbooks and things like that. Stuff like Commodore 64, Getting the Most from It, which is probably the most useful book out of all of these, besides the actual instruction manual for the computer itself. If I can get it back in there. Anyway, and on the side here we have some manuals for some various accessories. I'll go through these because these are pretty interesting. Printer peripherals, which is basically a manual for a printer that I guess this guy had. Commodore 1541 Disk Drive User's Guide. This is a Epix game catalog. This is really interesting. It's got some really interesting stuff in here. Advertises the Epix joystick. Not going to go through all of it. Sports games, Street Sports series, game series, all that kind of stuff. Let's see, what's this? This is a warranty card for the Commodore VIC-20, I believe. This is the Commodore Color Video Monitor User's Manual. This is a manual for Personal Finance 1 for the VIC-20. Yeah, whoop-de-doo. The 1520 Printer Plotter Manual. Yeah, say printer plotter 10 times fast. I bet you can't. Anyway, this is the instructions for it, which would be very useful because I have no idea how to work that thing yet. C2N cassette unit instructions. Another printer plotter instruction manual. I got two 1541 disk drive manuals. Not that I need two of them, but they're there anyway. Simon's Basic. It's pretty much just a basic tutorial, which would also be very useful to me. And the last one here, we have an 8K Memory Expander Instruction Manual for the VIC-20. And all the other stuff, like I said, it's just a bunch of different, programming textbooks and all that kind of stuff. So, very useful to me if I'm, learning how to program for this thing, which I'm, thinking about doing, because I think it'd be very neat to do. Okay, so that is it for the manuals and books for the Commodore computers. Alright, next up we have probably the least exciting item here in this part 1, and that is my box of cables. Whoop-de-doo. I'm just going to go through it real quick just to show you a couple of the highlights in here. Got a bunch of 64 power supplies in here. Here's a VIC-20 power supply. We got some monitor cables and some disk drive cables and some multi-taps and controller wire extenders and basically everything I'll ever need. So I don't want to talk too much about it, but yeah, I just wanted to show that I have a whole bunch of different hookups and cables and anything I would ever need in there. So that's it for that. Thank God. Alright, and now we come to probably the most interesting part of part 1, and that is the weird stuff. And as you can see, and I have an entire Tupperware bin filled of the weird stuff. So let me move the tripod up so you guys can get a better view of what's in here. Alright, so I'm not going to go over everything because a majority of this stuff is just, really bizarre joysticks and paddle controllers and stuff. I'm just going to talk about the highlights of the things that are in here. Probably the most interesting is this right here. Apparently the owner before me made a fan for the 1541 disk drive. As you can see, it's got the fan right there, and you plug it in using that, and it just vents through that thing. So I've got no idea if this thing even works. I'm really tempted to try it because I think that'd be, pretty neat to see this thing working, considering how old it is. So I might make a video about that, so stay tuned for that if that ever even happens. And like I said, just a bunch of really random joysticks in here. Like here's a gem stick, here's an Epix joystick. There's like 2 or 3 of these things in there. Really surprised for how comfortable these joysticks are, by the way. They're actually not bad. Here's a cable for the disk drive or the printer. You could use this cable here for both accessories. What else is in here that's interesting? We have this. This is a sealed package of plotter paper. It's completely factory sealed, and apparently it still has the, on this side, still got the Toys R Us sticker on there. So, yeah, and apparently it was only $2.97. So, that's totally pointless. But the last thing here that I want to show you is really interesting. I have no idea what this thing is, but it really caught my eye. If anybody out there knows what this is, please let me know, because I'm extremely curious. But this is the Super Graphics by Zetec. I guess that's how you pronounce that. Really strange device. I have no idea what this does. If anybody, like I said, knows, please let me know. But from what I can tell, it looks like this thing here plugs into the Commodore 64 computer. You have this thing which plugs into the disk drive, I think. But I'm not entirely sure on that. And you have this thing which plugs into a more modern computer, I guess. But like I said, I've got no idea what this thing even does. If anybody out there knows, please let me know, because I'm extremely curious. Because this thing is just so bizarre and so weird. Same thing with all the other stuff in there, but like I said, it's just, you know, weird joysticks and paddle controllers and just other stuff that's really not that important. So that's it for part 1. I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for part 2, which I'm mainly going to focus on the hardware that I have for my Commodore 64 and Commodore VIC-20 computers. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and as always guys, have a great day.